Top 5 common fish that could harm diabetics. Most people don't know. Your numbers are still high. Even though you've cut back on sugar, stopped drinking soda, watched your portions, and swapped red meat for fish, just like they told you to. You're doing everything right, but your blood sugar just won't cooperate. Here's something most people never hear. Some of the most common fish we eat, the ones we trust to be healthy, may be quietly working against us. I'm not talking about rare or exotic seafood. I mean the everyday stuff. Canned tuna, fish sticks, fried fillets, even certain fresh fish you'd never suspect. They don't taste sweet, they don't look harmful, but inside your body they can raise inflammation, slow insulin response, and make it harder to manage type 2 diabetes, especially as we get older. But I thought fish was safe. Sometimes it is, but not all fish are created equal, and the difference can change everything. In this video, I'll show you the top 5 common fish that could be harming your blood sugar and what to eat instead. No scare tactics, no guilt, just real answers. If that sounds like the kind of help you've been looking for, stay with me and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. So let's clear the confusion, one fish at a time. Here are 5 common types of fish that many people living with diabetes eat regularly, but might be doing more harm than good. Let's start with the most surprising one. Number 1, canned tuna. Let's talk about a food nearly every kitchen has. Canned tuna. It's affordable, convenient, doesn't need cooking, and for years you've probably heard, it's lean, it's high in protein, it's a smart swap for red meat. And yes, that's what you were trying to do. Make smart swaps. Eat lighter. Choose what's safe. I've seen it again and again, patients who truly believed they were doing the right thing. Lunch was simple. A scoop of tuna over lettuce, maybe a few whole grain crackers on the side. Quick, easy, felt like a healthy choice. But then, the blood sugar reading after, still high, still creeping up, and they're left wondering, what am I doing wrong? Let's break it down. Most canned tuna, especially the kind packed in brine or oil, can contain 300 to 400 milligrams of sodium per can. That might not sound like much, but when you're managing type 2 diabetes, that sodium builds up fast. And here's what that means for your body. Higher blood pressure, increased fluid retention, reduced insulin sensitivity. It doesn't spike blood sugar directly, but it silently sabotages your body's ability to handle sugar efficiently. Have you ever felt confused? Like you were doing everything right, but your numbers still stayed high? Share your story in the comments. Someone else might really need to hear it today. You're not alone. And there's more. Most people don't know. Many canned tuna products are lined with BPA, a chemical that's been linked to hormone disruption and inflammation. And the fish itself? It's often sourced from larger species, like albacore, that carry higher levels of mercury. Mercury isn't just a brain toxin. It can actually impair pancreatic beta cell function, the very cells responsible for making insulin. So, while you thought you were choosing better, you may have been eating something that slowly made blood sugar control even harder. But it's just tuna. I've eaten it for years. And that's exactly why we need to talk about it. Because not all tuna is created equal. If this surprised you and gave you something new to think about, consider hitting subscribe. There's more where this came from, and it's information that could quietly change your health. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give up tuna completely, but here's what to look for. Low sodium or no salt added varieties. Skipjack tuna, which tends to be lower in mercury. Or even better, tuna packed in water rather than oil or brine. And whenever you can, opt for fresh fish or cooked-at-home alternatives where you can control the ingredients. Because small upgrades, even just switching your go-to brand, can make a meaningful difference over time. But if canned tuna surprised you, wait until you hear what's next. There's another fish on this list that feels even safer, something many people serve thinking it's better than red meat. But when it hits your system, it does something your blood sugar won't forget. Keep watching with me. You need to know this, especially if you've ever reached for the frozen aisle thinking you were playing it safe. Number 2, fried fish, any kind. You've probably said it or heard someone say it. It's just fish. That can't be bad, right? Catfish, cod, even salmon. But once it's battered and deep fried, what lands on your plate isn't just fish anymore. It's something very different and far more dangerous to your blood sugar. I remember one man, 67 years old. Every Friday night, he treated himself. A small fish fry, homemade even. He'd skip dessert, say no to bread, use olive oil when he could. But no matter what he did, by Saturday morning, his numbers were always up. Tired, sluggish, craving more food by 10 a.m. "I don't get it," he told me. "I thought I was doing better than before." He was, in some ways. But what he didn't realize was that the real problem wasn't the fish. It was what came with it. What's one meal you thought was safe, but turned out to spike your blood sugar? Comment below. Comment below, it could help someone else avoid the same trap. Here's what happens with fried fish, no matter the kind. Refined flour in the batter breaks down fast into glucose. Reused, oxidized oils are loaded with inflammatory compounds. The deep frying process strips away nutrients and adds stress to your system. This combo triggers inflammation, increases insulin resistance, and causes post-meal blood sugar spikes that linger for hours. And the worst part? It feels so innocent, especially when it's just a small portion on the weekend. But without fiber, greens, or a blood sugar buffer, that one little indulgence can undo a whole day's progress. Now, this isn't about guilt. This is about knowing the truth behind the food and using it to make smarter swaps that still feel satisfying. If you enjoy fish, you don't have to give it up. Instead of frying, try air frying with whole grain breadcrumbs. Bake or grill your fish with lemon, herbs, and olive oil. Or pair it with fiber-rich sides like sautéed greens, roasted veggies, or lentils. This simple shift can stabilize your numbers and leave you feeling fuller, calmer, and more in control. If that tip gave you something you can actually use in your real life, consider hitting subscribe. We go deep, but we keep it doable. And if fried fish was a surprise, wait until you see what's next. There's a fish so common, it shows up on dinner tables, in fast food, even in healthy meal kits. But what's hidden inside it could quietly harm your liver, your blood sugar, and even your long-term metabolic health. Keep watching. You need to know what's coming, especially if you've been eating it without a second thought. Number 3, Basa pangasius swai. It looks harmless, even healthy. Mild in flavor, soft in texture, marketed as white fish fillets. And at half the price of salmon or cod, it's easy to see why so many people choose it. I eat it because it's affordable. Of course you do. You're trying to stretch the grocery budget and still put something light on the plate. But what if that low-cost fish was quietly costing you far more than money? I once spoke with a woman, 64 years old, recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. She was doing everything she could to eat right. She swapped red meat for fish, cooked at home, and bought what was on sale. The label said white fillet, looked clean, said nothing about sugar or carbs, she told me, so I ate it 3 times a week. But her blood sugar stayed stubborn. Her energy dropped. Her doctor noticed liver markers creeping up. She never suspected the fish until we looked closer. Much of the Basa, also known as swai or pangasius, is farmed in large-scale operations, often in regions where water quality and farming standards can vary. Testing has found traces of antibiotics used to control disease in overcrowded fish farms, heavy metals like mercury and lead absorbed from contaminated rivers, and even industrial chemicals, substances never meant to end up on a dinner plate. And while these contaminants might not trigger an immediate reaction, they can quietly inflame your liver, overwork your pancreas, and make your body more resistant to insulin. That's not just dangerous, that's a recipe for long-term metabolic harm. If you've ever chosen Basa or swai thinking it was a safe, affordable option, and you feel frustrated by your numbers not improving, hit like. You're not alone, and this is exactly why we're talking about it. You don't have to buy the most expensive fish on the shelf, but you do deserve to know which ones actually support your health and which ones quietly chip away at it. Here's what to look for instead. Wild-caught fish when you can, smaller fish like sardines, mackerel, or trout, lower on the food chain, lower in toxins, or responsibly farmed tilapia or salmon, verified by third-party certifications like MSC or ASC. Even better? Combine fish with ingredients that support detox and digestion, like leafy greens, lemon, or steamed broccoli. Want more tips like that, the kind you can actually use? Hit subscribe. I make every video with your real life in mind. Still with me? Because the next fish on this list looks innocent, comes frozen in tidy little boxes, and often ends up on dinner plates across the country. But it's not just about what it's made from. It's about what's missing and how your blood sugar responds when that fish hits your plate, with nothing to slow it down. Keep watching. What's next might be hiding in your freezer right now. Number 4. Fish sticks and breaded fillets. There's something comforting about them, isn't there? Fish sticks, breaded fillets, neatly frozen, easy to prepare. Just pop them in the oven and dinner's done. I grew up on these, one woman told me. Now I make them for my grandkids and for myself when I'm too tired to cook. They feel familiar, harmless, and on the surface it even sounds better than fried chicken or pizza. But beneath that golden, crispy coating, there's a hidden trap for anyone living with type 2 diabetes. Let's break down what you're really getting with most store-bought fish sticks or breaded fillets. Reconstituted fish paste, not whole fillets, but ground scraps held together with fillers, refined flour breading, high in fast-digesting carbs that spike blood sugar, added starches and preservatives, often to extend shelf life, not nourish your body. And usually, low fiber, low protein, low nutrients once it's cooked. Now think about this. You're eating what looks like a simple fish dinner, but your blood sugar reacts like you've just had a plate of white bread and oil. Worse still, these meals often get eaten alone. No fiber, no greens, no balance, making the spike sharper and longer. If this sounds familiar, if fish sticks have been a go-to when you're tired or trying to eat light, go ahead and tap like. You're not the only one. These little shortcuts are common and costly. Let me be clear. This isn't about shame. It's about awareness. So you can keep what you love, but adjust the parts that aren't helping. Here's how. Look for whole fillet fish instead of minced or reformed. Use air fryers or ovens, not deep fryers. Try making your own at home using oat flour or almond flour coating, higher in fiber, lower in carbs, and always pair with fiber-rich sides like roasted broccoli, lentils, or a simple salad. Even 1 or 2 of those swaps can reduce a blood sugar spike dramatically and keep you feeling full longer. If this gave you a helpful shift in perspective, consider hitting subscribe, because it's not about eating less, it's about eating smarter. Now, if fish sticks made you pause, you'll want to stick around for the final fish on this list, because it doesn't come breaded. It doesn't come in a box. In fact, it's often praised as one of the healthiest options around. But inside, it hides something that doesn't just affect blood sugar, it may interfere with the very organ that regulates it. Keep watching. This last one surprises even doctors, and you'll want to know why. Number 5, swordfish and other large ocean fish. You've heard it before. Eat fish that's high in omega-3s. It's good for the heart, the brain, and even blood sugar. And yes, omega-3s can be incredibly powerful, but not all fish that contain them are safe, especially if you're living with type 2 diabetes. Take swordfish, for example. It's meaty, flavorful. Grilled or baked, it feels like a cleaner alternative to steak. Some even call it a superfood from the sea. But here's the hidden problem, and it's not just swordfish. Large ocean fish, like swordfish, king mackerel, shark, or tilefish, tend to live longer and grow larger, and that means they absorb more toxins from the environment over time, especially mercury. And mercury doesn't just damage the brain or nerves, it also interferes with pancreatic beta cell function, the cells that produce insulin, glucose metabolism, making it harder for your body to use sugar efficiently, and it increases oxidative stress, which worsens inflammation and insulin resistance. Pancreatic beta cell function, the cells that produce insulin, glucose metabolism, making it harder for your body to use sugar efficiently, and it increases oxidative stress, which worsens inflammation and insulin resistance. The result? Even if you're eating clean, your body is still under pressure. And over time, that silent stress can push your numbers in the wrong direction. If you've ever eaten swordfish, tuna steaks, or other healthy fish and still felt puzzled by high blood sugar later, tap like. This could be the piece you were missing. Now, this doesn't mean you have to avoid fish altogether. It means you need to be selective and smarter about which fish, how often, and where it comes from. Here's what you can do. Prioritize smaller, shorter-lived fish, sardines, trout, wild-caught salmon. If you eat large fish, do it occasionally, not weekly. Choose sources certified for low mercury and sustainable practices. Look for MSC or safe catch labels. Pair fish with foods that reduce inflammation, like spinach, turmeric, or avocado. It's not about eating less. It's about choosing foods that work with your body, not against it. So now you know the 5 common fish that could be quietly raising your blood sugar, even when they look clean, lean, and healthy. But let's be honest, it's not just about what to avoid. It's about knowing what you can eat with confidence. Because once you understand how your body reacts, especially after 50, you don't need more fear. You need clarity. You need options. That's why in the next video, we're flipping the script. We're talking about the 5 fish that won't spike blood sugar and why most diabetics don't even know about them. Tap to watch. 5 fish that won't spike blood sugar. Most diabetics don't know this. Because managing diabetes isn't just about cutting things out. It's about reclaiming food you love in a way that actually works for you. Don't miss this. It might change how you build your next meal.